It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, folks, if you look on that gigantic, sharp, interactive board, you know we're going to be discussing Lexmark and Ninestar and all their damn subsidiaries today. And I'll be real honest with you. I wish I didn't have to do these episodes. I really do. But when I listen to the rhetoric coming out of the Lexmark executives, it's just troubling at so many different levels that we're still having to argue this point. It's been over a year since the Department of Homeland Security banned Ninestar, 8 of its subsidiaries. I realize Lexmark wasn't on the list, but Lexmark's the largest subsidiary that Ninestar owns. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm convinced if we just cut the damn head off that snake, which is Lexmark, the whole snake will die. We're reading articles about how Ninestar is bringing in product through subsidiaries, new subsidiaries. Let's just set up another subsidiary and fool the American people. Quite honestly, the Communist Chinese Party knows they don't need to fool the American people. They just need to give the American people a way they could do something to bypass the Department of Homeland Security's ban. I can't believe I'm even saying this. But that sure feels what it looks like. And it's upsetting because our industry is good people. I read an article this morning where our industry, those friends of mine that sell supply and service print equipment, raised $80,000 to help their industry fellows out that went through this horrific weather that we've seen in the Southeast. Horrific weather. The industry came together, let's help them out. The industry raises money for the veterans, let's help them out. But yet in this issue regarding Lexmark and all these damn Ninestar subsidiaries, we just seem like we don't really care. And folks, I got to be honest with you. We're a free society in America. And because we are a free society, the government has to rely on that free society to kind of police itself too once in a while. It can't do everything because we are a free society. And it's up to those businesses all over the world to just step up and do their part. And when the Department of Homeland Security bans a PRC from our country, we should be looking at every single possible way that PRC could circumvent that ban and shut that damn company down. We shouldn't be allowing their subsidiaries to run around the marketplace and tell us what we want to hear so we feel good. We should be challenging them. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start today's episode off with some testimony at a committee meeting on the CCP.
In layman's terms, what does that mean?
China is a party state. The function of China is not to better the interests of the Chinese people. It is to promote, strengthen, and expand the power, influence, and reach of the Chinese Communist Party. All activity done by Chinese companies or within the Chinese borders accrues to the power of the party.
But what happens if it's a company here owned by China?
There are no independent Chinese companies.
So even if they're on our soil, if it's a Chinese company, everything will get divulged at any point in time to the Chinese government.
Correct, and I would also note for the honorable member that many of the intellectual property thefts suffered by American companies do not only occur in mainland China.
In layman's terms,
so ladies and gentlemen, the Congress has been upset with the Chinese Communist Party for a while and these PRCs and the tech threats. Again, because we're a free society, the government needs the people in that free society to do their part to help them. It doesn't matter what party you're with. Both Republicans and Democrats have issues with the Chinese Communist Party. Understand that tech threat. And we as an industry, full of good people that do wonderful things, need to do our part. When this ban went into effect, I shared with the whole entire audience that I have, I said, man, this is our opportunity to step up as an industry. We could be the industry that changes the game for PRCs coming into the United States. We could be the industry that gets the attention. We could set the tone. We could set the precedent. But what have we done over this last year? I've listened to some of the nonsense coming out of Lexmark, and it's just disturbing at so many levels. You know, we had the panel discussion, which was a complete disastrous failure, but at least we had something we started. But there was no representation from Lexmark there. I just saw a post on social media, Lexmark's CEO running around the world talking about how fantastic they are. Now he's got to go back to their headquarters in Lexington. Ladies and gentlemen, let me blow up my screen. Today I want to share some more of the reasons why we as an industry need to step up and do what's right. We don't need the government to force us to do this. The government already put Ninestar on the ban list along with 8 subsidiaries. We can use our damn brains and figure out when they're trying to circumvent this. And quite honestly, we should just stop buying clone toner from China. Just stop it. That's easy. It's easy. You go back to your purchasing departments and you tell your people, stop it. No more. I want to do a shout out to Toner News and Jimmy over there. And Jimmy mentioned me in his blog. He does a blog. He's been an advocate to fight these Chinese communist PRCs for a long time. And this clone toner, he's a strong voice in that industry. And I thank you, Jimmy, for the recognition of me and my show on your blog. Action Intelligence just recently wrote an article about all the subsidiaries. And I want to show everybody really clearly this flag of Lexmark's in front of the office in China, okay? Because I know a lot of people still think that Lexmark is a big old American company in Lexington, Kentucky, that Ninestar is just one of their many investors. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to be honest with you. It's going to be too damn impossible for us as an industry to try to figure out what new subsidiary Ninestar decides to use or set up to fool us. We got to cut the head off the snake, and the head is Lexmark. Their largest subsidiary. If we would have shut them down a year ago, we wouldn't be going through this right now because they'd be gone. But we keep looking for reasons. We want to hear only what makes us feel good. Lexmark refuses to address any of this with any substance. Stop grabbing the lures of dirty money and jump out of the polluted waters of communist-controlled companies. Lexmark is owned by a PRC called Ninestar. The American Lexmark leaders are the fishermen holding the lines with the dirty damn money. And I know that's a graphic that nobody wants to talk about, nobody wants to even think about. Everybody loves the people that work at Lexmark. But the people that work at Lexmark work for a PRC called Ninestar, a PRC that's been banned over forced enslaved labor. That's the reality. Ninestar owns over 63% equity in Lexmark. You just heard at that hearing. There are no independent companies that are PRCs. I shared this earlier last week. When does benefit of the doubt become benefiting through ignoring? Because we are benefiting through ignoring, aren't we? Let's just ignore it and we can benefit. You know? We got to keep selling this Lexmark stuff because we can benefit. Let's not think about it. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, I've talked about the Lexmark board many a times, but there's a board member, and the gentleman that's on the board was also the Secretary of Commerce under the Bill Clinton administration. I've shared my thoughts on that. But, you know, back in President Clinton's time, and before his time, and a little bit after his time, the free world thought, because we're good people, that, man, if we could just help China understand the value of democracy. Maybe it'll become contagious. And maybe we can change their thinking. Was that naive? Probably so as we look back. Completely naive. But maybe that's some of the issues with the board of Lexmark. Maybe the board of Lexmark is just still thinking of the way it was back in Clinton's time. And folks, it doesn't matter what side of the political aisle you're on. The whole world thought at one time, if we could help China understand democracy, they would become a democratic society. I mean, it was completely naive. And what we see what they're doing all over the world today, we got to stop that thinking. For the United States and the rest of the West, the facts should prompt the kind of self-criticism sessions that Mao Zedong used to enforce. The reality of modern-day China is now plain to see. The brutal suppression of ethnic minorities like Uyghurs and Tibets, the stomping on civil liberties in Hong Kong that it had agreed by treaty not to touch, the military muscle flexing in the South China Sea. All this makes it increasingly clear that the generation of China hands, from the government policymakers to academics to business executives, got Beijing and its ruling party badly wrong. Their hope and dream was to help integrate China, an isolated, impoverished nation, as the 70s began, to the existing world order, to help China become, in the now famous phrase of former Deputy Secretary of State Robert Zoellick, a credible stakeholder. These were great dreams and aspirations coming from Americans who are great people that want to spread democracy. But it ain't working. And now we got to rein it in. You know, I've shared this Lexmark policy on their data many times. And it's still out there. They talk about the cross-border transfers. You just saw the video. There is no independent. Lexmark, who the hell is we and who the hell is R? Sharing data. We keep your personal data confidential. Who's we? I mean, is that Ninestar? Your owners? The Communist Chinese Party, cross-border transfers. We are a global organization with offices and customers around the world to efficiently manage our business and best serve you. All kinds of data, not just personal data, may be transferred and accessed by Lexmark entities worldwide on the basis of this privacy notice and in alignment with international data privacy standards. Who the hell standards? Who is R and who's we? We're supposed to trust that the Chinese Communist Party is going to abide by international data transfers? Seriously? I saw this recently where Lexmark gets some award out there, a recognition for their security. I'm just like, what is our industry doing, number one? And how do we, I don't even want to get into this because it's so absurd that we're out there trying to figure out how to make Lexmark relevant, how to distract the industry from Lexmark's owners. Let's give them an award for security. It's just absurdity at so many levels. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to spend some time. This is a government website, the Select Committee on the CCP. Now they're concerned about the software and the cranes that are at our ports and how China could one day kind of control all the ports. Not to our benefit, the Wall Street Journal, Chinese cargo cranes at U.S. ports pose espionage risks, probe fines. Over and over and over, we run into this shit. We don't want to do anything about it. We're a free society. We can't depend on our government to do everything. We should be like outraged when we read this kind of stuff. What the hell? But we're not. Because a lot of our country, a lot of our companies are more concerned about the profitability. They can't really see down the road a future where China has more power. Ladies and gentlemen, I do believe there will be a geopolitical event between us and China, and that event could be a simple blockade, like I discussed about 8 months ago. Let's if China forms a blockade, we're all screwed, right? Because we haven't learned our lesson about supply and demand yet. Supply chain issues. Chinese majority owner Lexmark blocked by U.S. Homeland Security Department. This was in China Tech Threat. It's a blog and you should read this. Look, I'm going to share some things with you here real quick, folks. You know, when you see people with these blogs, or even my friend Jimmy, sometimes you think, or even some of the stuff I'm doing, it's so outrageous. Ready to just cut the head off a snake with Lex, because you have to get past the silence of complacency. This is what happens. You have to be bold and get out there and scream about this shit. Otherwise, you can't get through the silence, right? Because people don't want to hear it. They want to wait. They want to watch Ray's episode, and then they're going to get so comfortable as soon as they read an article where the CEO of Lexmark talks about how Ninestar is one of their investors. And we're secure. Look at this award we won. Because they'd rather listen to that. But in order for those that want to get through this, we got to scream sometimes. Folks, there is so much going on right now with the Chinese Communist Party and what they're trying to do to get themselves involved with our country's information and our technology. And we've got Lexmark equipment all over the place. All over the place. You know, there's software out there for car dealerships and only Lexmark works on it. If that's the case, then shame on every damn OEM out there. You know, can't you spend some time and figure out how that software will work on your printers? And then we could go out and educate the marketplace on a better way than doing business with the largest subsidiary of a banned PRC over the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act. Couldn't we do that as an industry? Maybe all the American car dealerships should just say the hell with it and start selling Chinese-owned autos. I'm thinking the Auto Workers Union could care less who makes the cars. After all, the car dealers could care less that their Lexmark printers are owned by a PRC, People Republic of China company called Ninestar. Oh, and Ninestar is banned by the Department of Homeland Security over the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act. Maybe the Auto Workers Union could care less about PRC companies using slave and forced labor. I don't think so. I don't think they know. I don't think they know because our industry doesn't want to compete the way they need to compete and try to go after Lexmark based on the fact that Lexmark's the largest subsidiary of Ninestar. There's nothing wrong with that. Go after them. Force your OEMs to get this software figured out on their machines. And ladies and gentlemen, just don't buy any clone cartridges from China. Just stop doing it, period. And fire Lexmark. You know, Ninestar will come up with a new logo tomorrow. Folks, we are a good industry of good people. We do wonderful things to help each other. Now, as a collective, as an industry, we need to do wonderful things to help the country that we all live in. And when the Department of Homeland Security bans a PRC called Ninestar, we as an industry should be doing every damn thing possible to completely shut down that entire business of that PRC and every damn one of their subsidiaries, whether they're banned or not. I'm not the only one that thinks this way. We need more people. We need more people in the industry to not only think this way, but to act appropriately. Because everybody watching me knows this, status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all on Monday.